It's your girl Nikki, and I'm here just vlogging from in my car on the road. There is a very long line at the bank. Should never be. So instead of me just sitting here, I'm vlogging. I hope we made the best of quarantine by getting in touch with nature, getting some rest, setting and achieving many of our long-term goals, eating right, being more spiritual, and most of all, just coming out of this period having more of an awareness of how we should treat each other based on what's happening in the world right now. One thing I've been doing is just not giving up the fight with the weight, just still as much as I can drink my water, which I have here, as much as I could eat properly and take my supplements. I'm still doing that, and I'm exercising now 5:30 in the mornings, and that's an hour of walking the beach. I also wanted to talk about what's going on with the discrimination. And I must say, the discrimination that I see happening in the United States is very blatant. Being a history teacher for 21 years has fueled my passion on this topic. Discrimination is treating a person unfairly or differently, usually less than, because of their gender, color, religion, or nationality. The Jim Crow laws of the 1830s made it legal in America for blacks to be killed for these reasons. As you can see in these pics, blacks were segregated from whites and had to use separate facilities. These facilities were usually inferior in manner, and so blacks had to use separate theaters, restrooms, pools, even burial grounds were segregated. Imagine that. And this tells how inhumane the system was and how blacks were treated like animals. It was Martin Luther King and other civil rights leaders' fight that led to an end to the Jim Crow law with the passing of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The March to Washington of 1963, where Martin Luther King gave his famous "I Have a Dream" speech, made all the difference. And I love his famous line that says, "I have a dream that one day we would not be judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character." Fast forward today, in 2020, Americans have marched to Washington to end the senseless killing of blacks by white police officers. We want justice for George Floyd. And I just wanted to break it down as a history teacher because it saddens me even more to have to chronicle events such as those from a historical perspective, because it makes you see how little we have changed in 2020. And so if I start with emancipation in the British territories, we had the Emancipation Act of 1833, which immediately put black people into apprenticeship. Apprenticeship was really a transition or preparation stage for freedom, which mostly benefited the planter, but really extended slavery for the so-called ex-slave or apprentice. Instead of them giving us immediate freedom, they gave us apprenticeship. And after 6 years, realizing, well, they hoped that it would have lasted 6 years. But when they realized in the 4th year that it wasn't going to work, they had to abandon that because the planters were just so abusive. Fast forward, we go to the American Civil War, where slavery was the biggest issue. And in that American Civil War, the end of it, we had a president being assassinated just because he stood up and tried to give blacks certain rights that whites thought. How dare he do that? Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States, was assassinated all because he championed the cause of the slaves during the American Civil War so that they could be free from slavery. He and William Wilberforce are two examples of whites who fought on behalf of blacks. And he nearly lost his presidency, the campaign for president, over this firm belief that everyone should be treated equally. And so America has had a history of treating its very citizens in this way, with the Jim Crow law of the 1830s, which allowed for a black person to be legally lynched. A black person couldn't vote. Every constitutional rule that applies to their civic responsibility, they were denied that, because Rosa Parks herself had to go several times before she was allowed to vote, when an illiterate white could just go in one sitting and be allowed to vote. And so this is ridiculous that we have had to go through all of that, because there's some complexes, and we could talk about the president and how he does his Trump towers. Certain persons cannot, even if they have the money, go and attempt to even try to live in places like those. So the Fair Housing Act speaks against actions like those and allow anybody of any ethnicity to apply or to live wherever they want to live. And so imagine how many years ago that was campaigned for, but yet in 2020 we still have these things still happening. And to know that George Floyd had to be on the ground under the knees of several police officers for over 8 minutes, some people say 9. He had to say, "I can't breathe," and none of them thought that they should take their knees off his neck. We need justice for Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Breanna Taylor, and all the other innocent blacks who have been killed at the hands of white police officers. Persons were videotaping, yes, I know, but had they not done it, then we would not have seen the footage to know how appalling this thing really is. And so we could talk about what's right and wrong with who videotaped it and stuff like that, but the police is the higher authority there, and they are the ones who are supposed to protect us, but yet you have these things happening to citizens of a country. And I have to speak on behalf of my son, and if I lost my son that way, I would lose it. And so for me, this is eye-opening. It's imperative that we do something about it. I have to speak for myself as a Jamaican national living in a foreign country. There are things. It was not until I left Jamaica to live in a foreign country that I realized how Caribbean people don't like each other as they should. Some even form stereotypes and are not always welcoming of foreigners living in their country. To those few who only see our cultural differences negatively, I say, stop the hate now. Let us love each other and learn from each other. We are, after all human beings. One love, as Bob Marley says. I think as black people, we need to band together and stop being so separatists and so, belittling of each other. So I think it's time, this George Floyd situation, Ahmaud Arbery situation, all of these are telltale signs that enough is enough with this. We have to use this quarantine period as a period now to reflect on our ways. I just wanted to sensitize my subscribers and anyone else that we really need to take this quarantine period as a time to, enhance ourselves. But I think foremost, we need to learn how to treat each other. We should come out of this pandemic more loving, more appreciative of each other, more concern for our brothers and sisters, and empathetic to the plight of others, and more helpful. These are just some things that have come to my mind, and some quotes that I wanted to leave with you guys are: injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so we might say, oh, it's not happening in the Bahamas, it's not happening in Jamaica, it's only happening in the US. Should we care about it? Yes. Because if the US catches a cold, we sneeze. Whatever happens in the world can happen anywhere. Whatever happens to me could easily happen to you. And so we can't keep saying that, oh, it's not happening to me, so I don't need to do anything about it. It's your duty as a citizen to take care and to take into consideration what's happening to your fellow man. And so as such, it is your responsibility also. Another quote I wanted to leave with you guys: if you sit passively by and allow injustice to happen, then your silence is indicating your agreement with the actions of our transgressors. Just empower yourself. So I have a little voice, but with my voice, I'm going to make it known that I do not support injustice of any kind and unfair treatment and the death of young men and women because of their ethnicity. But just wanted to sensitize you guys to those matters that I felt incumbent to say. And let me know in the comments what you think about anything that I said. If you're in agreement, if you disagree, let me know in the comments. Hit me up below in the comments and let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe.